What's up, YouTube? Outdoor Pat coming to you. We're going to do a little fly tie-in. This is what I call a Slideucer. This is a combo between a seaducer and their classic slider patterns. So I'm starting with a number 1 B10S. On that, I've got some black Danville 210. I always go with a 210. I don't see a point using one. So on that, say about 1/8 of an inch back, I tied on these Hareline double pupils in black and orange. And we're going to start with some cactus chenille medium in brown. I'm sorry, this is pearl chenille medium in brown. So I've got I tied way back to the bend. I'm a little bit down the bend. I like going a little bit down. Give me a little more room to work with here. I'm going to tie in a chunk of this. And then I'm going to wrap up right where the bend kind of starts. And that's where I'm going to wrap this. So I like a little more of a sack, of an egg sack there, and I cut off plenty here because I'm an idiot. So we're gonna wrap this up to the bend, give it a few extra wraps. We're gonna beef this up. This is gonna be our spreader for the hackle. I'm going to unwrap this back to about there. Lay this down. A couple of holding wraps. Trim off the extra, and that is a massive egg sack, or hot spot they call them. It's going to kind of pull that forward. See if we can't make that pop up a little bit like that. Next, neck hackle. This is Strung. Neck hackle in ginger. I've also got deer body hair. This is just the belly hair. Nothing special. You can use bucktail. As long as you're using the base of the tail, we want this to splay up in the front. Pick out a couple of decent feathers. They don't have to be long because we're not going for big size on this fly, as long as they're relatively the same shape. So I'm going to pick out 4. There's 3 right there. This is arguably my least favorite part of working with hackles, is picking out 2 that are alike. There's one. I'm just going to go with that. It is, as they say, close enough. I'm going to split these off. I'm going to make 2 and 2. The OCD really doesn't help, and I also could have been prepared and got these done ahead of time, but let's be realistic here. Do any of you ever actually do that? Aside when you're, tying in bulk. There we go. Alright. I'm going to start on the away side of me. That's your side. And I'm going to go about a hook length back. I'm going to hold these real tight up against where they're being tied. I'm going to pull a lot down here. I'm going to give 3-ish loose wraps right on top of each other before I actually wrench them down. All right, let's go 4. Let's go 5. Okay, and now I'm pulling up and back towards me to tighten. And they should stay in place, and that's because of those like 5 loose wraps on top of you. If you spread that out, they're going to turn and they're going to pop those feathers down. So now we're going to go on the back side. If you'll notice, these are splaying out. See how that's splaying down that side? This side's going to splay up. These are going to push out, and they're going to go like this when they're in the water. I'm going to line these up. I'm going to do the same thing. Pinch them real tight. Pull out a good length of thread here. And we're going to go 2, 3, 4. 4 wraps should do it. I'm going to put these down before I wrench up. And again, up and back to tighten down. And now we can wrap forward a little bit. I'm going to give another couple of wraps forward and pull these up. Trim, and those are done. See how they splay out? They're even. It doesn't look like it in that picture for some reason, but they're even. They're close enough. I'm going to clean this up. I don't like that piece there. I should name this segment Fly Tying for OCD. I know, I use way too much thread because I'm OCD. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this. If you wanted, you could, that long piece we used in the front, you could go extra long with it, leave it down here, tie in your hackles, and then keep using it. I'm not going to do that. This piece, we don't really need a lot for this because we're only doing a few wraps forward. So this will be a little smaller. I'm just going to tie this in right there on the top or bottom. They always do that when they're tying flies. They're like, oh, this is forward and this is back and this is the top and that's, and I'm like, listen, this is how it's sitting in my vise. This is the top, this is the bottom, this is forward to me. It may be because you're tying a shrimp that's pointed down, it's still, this is forward. Okay, we need more. I'm going to get 2 more hackles. These don't have to be as pretty. They don't have to match either because we're going to palmer with these. So these ones you want to be a little bit longer. But again, they don't have to be matching. They don't have to be pretty because they're going to get, we're going to scar them up like this. Okay, and these, there's kind of a breaking point in that middle stem. So if you bend them like this and go up and down, you can see where the bend starts right here. That's where this softens up. So you don't want to tie any of this because it's just going to crack once you bend it or fold it. Cracking is going to break it apart while it's in the fly. It'll also cut your line, which is a huge pain in the ass. So we're going to tie these together. I'm going to find that bend. This one goes further down, so we're good on that. So there's the bend. I'm going to cut that off there so we don't end up tying it in. My kids are playing video games. I don't know why that's relevant. It's not. I'm just making excuses for the noise. Okay, so now we have our 2 palmers. And we're going to palmer all this together. So I'm going to put these are the good, these are the Tiemco hackle pliers, which I love. They have that little rubber piece on them that really grips feathers really well. I'm going to put those on the very tip. I'm going to try and brush some of that out of there. Okay. So now I'm going to wrap alongside both of these. Hang on. I messed up. Okay, so we're gonna go palmer first, or the chenille first. Cross over. Good. Okay, now we're gonna pull this thread back. Wrap just to hold. Cut these off. We're done with these. Okay. Wrap back just a little bit, just to seal these a little better. Alright, there's the front portion of the fly. It's the back. It's the back of the fly. Now we're ready for the belly hair, the deer hair, bucktail, whatever you want to use. You don't need a whole lot. You can't use a whole lot because you can't grip it, so grab whatever you can. I'm just picking out the guard hairs. You all know that process. I'm just doing it over a trash can so that my wife doesn't divorce me. While I'm doing this, let's talk about these guys. Go see my buddy Ryan over at Safety Harbor Outfitters. Get yourself a shirt or a hat. This is the Zero Dark 30. It's like black camo. Killer hat. He also has these really cool belt buckles with like a cartoony looking like snook on them that I think are super dope. And you should be able to buy my flies on there soon. Okay, well, y'all know this process. It's a nightmare. Nobody likes doing it. Again, just like with the hackles. 1, 2, 3, and then pull back. Back and up. And that's going to splay those out. It's going to splay the front and hopefully not twist anything back down there. Okay, so now we're just going to kind of, here, let me work our way to the front with the thread. I like to go in these kind of almost circular motions. We'll go back through there. And now we'll go in front of the eye. I'll pull some of that back. We're going behind the eyes technically, but kind of towards the front. Now that's going to splay those up in the front. And now we're ready to jump up front. And that's a fly, man. Let's wind this back to the front. I'm going to whip finish. I like doing 2 because it's an even number, honestly. Alright, that's that. Now, I tried this with scissors for so long. These work so much better. Especially when you get a new one and you just kind of pop it up. Usually the bottoms of the hair, the part in the front that are splayed up, those are the ones I want to trim. These nice, like the back of the hair where they taper down to a point. I like the way those lay, so that looks good to me. Next, just like anybody else, UV resin. What you're doing with this is putting a coat on the thread, make it a little more durable. And it's also going to help keep everything where it should be. Personally, I like to point it at me. Like I said, I'm OCD, especially with my flies. And there's one stinker right there up front. Make sure everything's pointed in the right direction. Looking good. Knock over my fan base here. Oh, did it again. There it is. That is my Slideucer. Seaducer slider. Let me know in the comments, man. What do you think? What should I do different? How'd you do yours? I'm going to do a video on how to do the eyes soon. Those cross wraps, man, they just don't sit in the middle of the shank. So, alright, thanks for watching, man.